FM, Winterville, North Carolina.
Motivations with Glenn.
Good day, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams. We have a couple of different topics to discuss today. We'll start off with our continuing story, which is our lead story on the two children that perished from being left inside a car in Detroit. We have an update and the cause of death concerning those two children, followed by a man who suffered from hypothermia and unfortunately succumbed to his event was hypothermia. We have a couple other documents and all concerning benzene, because I actually found out there is a benzene detector that you can have for your home, excuse me, inside your home and inside your garage. Actually, it's portable. You can carry it around on a carrying case attached to your hip like a cell phone. It will detect the benzene that might be released in the air around your surroundings. So we'll get to those stories and other stories. Here's Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams to tell you more. Apostle.
Hey, to our listening audience on today and to Dr. Glenn, we are glad to be here. It's a good day to be here on today's beautiful outside. For those of you that have been outside today, it is a lovely day. And we're glad for this topic that we have here on today. Dr. Glenn, after we got this, we were putting these things together, and I saw some of the things, and I realized that we probably should have expanded this subject to being a subject now that we see a lot happening in our communities and in different places. I mean, especially myself, I've seen things on social media, and we should have probably made this topic about people that are living in their cars, because that is one of the new trends that we're seeing. There are a lot of people that are living, they've forsaken, they're making it look good too, Dr. Glenn, but there are some definite dangers to living in your car when it's in the summertime and when it's in the wintertime. And that particular story that we pulled up was a comment that I made a few weeks ago about that particular story. But I have seen so many people that are showing other people and demonstrating on social media outlets how to live in your car and how to, manage living it. I mean, they can do everything now. And maybe we should pose the question out there today. Do you think that it's okay to live in your car? And maybe even solicit some callers to see if that they would mind inputting on that particular question. Do you think, Dr. Glenn, I'm going to start with you. Do you think it's okay to live in your car, first of all?
No, I don't, because I think it should be impractical because of the dangers. There could be, like you said, there could be dangerous things happening to you in the summer and the winter. But You're also exposing yourself to the criminal element. You're subject to be victimized or, vandalized, tortured, any of any other criminal element. So the criminal element is the most dangerous, is the most important.
Well, Dr. Glenn, I'm going to answer that to you, and I'm going to say today that I'm two-sided with it. I mean, I have two opinions with it. I think this is just my opinion. I think that if you are an adult and you are deciding that that's what you want to do, that's fine. But I think it's an altogether different issue when you have children living in the car, that those kids need to be in a different place. And I understand all the dangers, and I do have some things here that I have written down concerning that. Um, the dangers and some of the things that you may face living in a car, but I have literally seen videos of people saying that they lived in the car with the kid or a kid or a disabled kid for a whole year. And so those particular things, I believe that that's where my issue, opinion wise, comes in, is when you're living there. I mean, it limits the child. They need a bed, and I mean, not saying that they can't be comfortable if they're small enough in a car. They will be okay, but it's inside of the car. And then the dangers, and as Dr. Glenn said, the criminal elements, finding a safe place, to park your car and a place to put it, and just it's a lot more that is complicated with it there. And then with kids, how are you going to feed them? Kids need to be a place where they're having meals prepared, where they can have a place to bathe. Some of the people that we see on these particular social medias, they show themselves going to different gyms and things, and they're able to do with their gym membership to go to the gym and work out and then take a shower. But what about the children? Going into, and I guess I've forgotten about gas stations and those places, but those places are not the cleanest places. And
No,
then
they're not.
going to use the bathroom. And what about if you're sick or something else is going on and you're stuck in that environment, or, certain illnesses, you're going to need to be near a bathroom.
Yeah. And bathrooms, just like, they used to have, what you call it? Like an arcade ride. You just, the little cars, just different toys or devices that children could get on and play as you coming out of the grocery store. Remember back in the day they had those.
Oh, yes, I remember.
One of the reasons they eliminated those is because the bacteria contents that was showing up on those different rides. Just like if you was to take public transit, they did a bacteria test on the handrails on buses and trains, different things that they've and the bacteria rate was alarming. Just like a gas station, gas pump, when you go pump gas, 9 times out of 10, people don't wash their hands. So they swab the gas pump handles. The bacteria level was beyond belief. It also contained human feces because people were using the restroom at the gas station, then coming out to use the pump without washing their hands. So there's a high risk of bacteria and other diseases or different things, Jackie.
And that's exactly what I have down here, hygiene, as one of the things and the risks of living in a car and in that environment. And you know how kids are. Anyways, they are always touching something. Can you imagine how much bacteria and how many, viruses and things that could be contained in the vehicle from just sleeping in there?
And that's true because that's one of the other things that they swabbed. And I wish I had to put that document with me. Your car seats, the steering wheel, the dashboard, the glove compartment, the dash itself, all of those areas contain an astronomical amount of bacteria because you're in and out of the vehicle every day. You might wash your hands, you might not wash your hands, but it might not be enough to eliminate all of the germs and bacteria. That's why there's a high level of bacteria that's contained in your automobile.
Well, and then storage. You need to have some place to keep things. I mean, I can't imagine having your whole life in a car. It had to be a necessity. And some people, they show themselves with a storage unit and then they're still living out of the car. That does give at least more room.
Yeah, let me say one more thing before we go to the first break in 1 minute. I know there's a lot of people that have that have exhausted all their resources of trying to get help, such as the case with the mother and father with the children in Detroit. She had exhausted all her means of trying to get assistance, but was able to do so, which is why they were sleeping in the car at the casino parking garage. So the two children, they say, the cause of death was not only hypothermia, but what's the other one again?
Carbon monoxide.
Carbon monoxide. Because you have to realize these young children, their bodies are not, well developed like an adult. So they succumb to the carbon monoxide quicker than the adults.
Definitely, Dr. Glenn. We are getting ready to go out for our first break, and we're going to invite you today, if you want to weigh in on this subject, that you can call in. The phone number to the studio is 252-756-2008. Again, that number is 252-756-2008. You can call in and you'd be live on the show with me and Dr. Glenn if you have some things that you want to share. And I want to make sure that when we come back that we do talk about this, we're not being insensitive to anyone's situation. And we understand that there are tough times, but come right on back. This is Awesome Radio. Motivations with Glenn. Back in a moment.
My name is Jayla, and you're to see to my papa, Glenn Johnson, on the radio.
Health Pro is a licensed home care organization and a trusted provider of in-home care services with skilled nursing and personal care services. When your elderly parents live alone, there are many things that can be done to make general housekeeping and personal care easier. We are local and can be reached at 252-364-8114. We are located at 408 West Arlington Boulevard, Suite 101C, Greenville. At Health Pro, our services provide a relief for the aging and the disabled population who prefer to recover in the comfort of their homes. Our services expand beyond the normal, and we are currently serving 17 counties in eastern North Carolina. Veteran personal care services, companion care, sitter care, respite care, private pay home care, pediatric, adolescent personal care services are just a few of the many services we offer. Visit our website to see all of the services we offer, healthpronc.com. That's healthpronc.com. Health Pro, 408 West Arlington Boulevard, Suite 101C, Greenville, 252-364-8114. That's 252-364-8114. Health Pro, a local, trusted, leading provider of in-home care services.
Hello, my name is Tracy, and you're listening to Awesome Radio 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU Radio. Thank you.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams. We are continuing our lead story on the two children who perished in the parking garage in Detroit. I want to ask our apostle right now if she want to go to the document entitled Cause of Death Revealed for Two Children Who Died After Sleeping in a Van amid freezing temperatures, followed by man suffers hypothermia after spending 15 hours in a car stuck in a drainage ditch.
Yes,
Apostle.
Dr. Glenn. So I'm going to do the first document because I don't think we really got a chance to introduce it. This particular story about the kids. And this story, it was February 11th, 2025. Now we know this particular past winter, was a very frigid one. And even here in the South, it was very cold. We had a lot of below freezing and below temperatures on this year. And this story happened in Detroit. It says a mother was inside of the van along with her 5 children when she noticed one of the kids wasn't breathing. The godmother came and picked up the children, transporting them to the hospital, after which Detroit police were called. It is believed the 2 of them froze to death. And so this was a very big story. here, from what I understood, Dr. Glenn, that there was no room for this family in the shelter, and that all had been exhausted. As Dr. Glenn said earlier, from what I understood, there was a call made to the father of the children asking him to take them, but he didn't understand that they were homeless and that they
Right.
were living in that vehicle.
Right.
It's just not a good idea, but I know that sometimes things, they get to the point where worse is there, and you have to do what you have to do. If you have, I want to say to anybody that if you have relatives or family members or something, sometimes it's a time to swallow your pride and say, look, I need a little help. Can we stay, especially when conditions are extreme? When it's very hot outside and it's very cold outside, you have to make the best decision, and pride needs to go out of the window. So the mother didn't explain to the father, because I saw the interview with him, that she was living in the van. She just asked him to take the kids. So he thought it was just like, a weekend or something that she wanted him to take. And he didn't understand that their situation was that they were in a crisis.
Yeah, and reading down on the document, it says the family is believed to have been living out of their vehicle for 2 to 3 months in a parking at various casinos in Detroit, according to interim Detroit Police Chief Todd Bettison. The family had parked on the ninth floor of the Hollywood Casino parking garage around 1 a.m. on Mondays, police said. At the same point, during the night, the vehicle stopped running, possibly due to mechanical failure or after running out of gas, and the mother had called a friend for help, according to Pedersen. One other thing, the mother first noticed the older child was not breathing and called 911 around 12 p.m. Monday, Pedersen said. The friend transported the boy to nearby children's hospital.
Yes, and they called. It said that they called 911 around 12 p.m. And I'm trying to understand all of it. It's a few things still, even after hearing the story, even after reading the information, how the two froze to death when everyone was in the same vehicle. And even as a parent, when it's cold, when it's gotten that cold enough where your kids could die of hypothermia, even at the casino or wherever they were parking. Some of these places stay open, late at night. And I'm just sorry, I would have gotten my kids out. They said they ran out of gas, possibly have run out of gas. So there probably was no way to move from the particular place where they were. But there was a call made to someone else who came to pick up the kids. Before it had gotten that bad, it seems like, and I know in those situations, sometimes people are not always thinking clearly, because someone came and picked up the kids to take them to the hospital. But then why couldn't you get the same person to come and help you, when you were in crisis there? Maybe I don't understand it. I really don't. And even going into the hospital, there's some type of emergency shelter. We have to make sure that also in our communities that there is proper shelter to be allowed for people to come in that are in need and that do need to have a place to be out of the elements. This was a very tragic situation, to turn away a family in frigid temperatures and not have them be able to go into the shelter. And they have been in this particular situation for several months, according to the report, that they have been out living in the van already for several months. And I don't see that it was any warmer, earlier. I know that it was cold out there. And then those children, can you imagine just trying to huddle up and then falling asleep? Kids, in that particular situation, they probably just slept right on away. Well, when they took them to the hospital, they had passed away. So, imagine going to sleep, you're cold, and then you just sleep on away because you can't gauge how cold.
And Apostle, We do have a caller calling in. Caller. Apostle, we do have a caller calling in. Caller, you are live on the air. You have a comment or question?
Hi.
Go ahead, caller.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi. Maybe I need to turn the radio off. Can you hear me now?
We'll turn your radio down just a little bit. We can
I
hear you.
turned it
Go ahead
off.
with your comment or question.
Hi, this is Nada Manning. How are you, sir? You know me. I'm from the Let's Talk Real Life show.
Yes.
Hi. I'm listening to both of you talk about the homeless, and my question is, yes, it is very sad to hear such things going on, and yes, that is real life. My question to you two is, for Pitt County, is there such a thing? I'm talking about a solution here, or some type of resource for the homeless that are here. Is there any type of resource available for such families? How can we solicit such a family? I guess we would go through the Department of Social Services. But my concern is, how can we resolve such an issue from happening here?
Question.
And if you two, either of you, know of a resource, I would be very interested in moving forward to try to find out how I can help house at least that family of 5. That was so sad.
It was, yes.
That many children. So if you all can find out what's going on here in Pitt County for such a resolution, I would really, really appreciate some feedback from that. And that's my input, to try to resolve at least the most critical. We can't help everybody, but if we can help somebody so the Lord can bless somebody's family somewhere, I think that would be a great opportunity to do so.
And caller,
Okay.
that is an excellent question or comment. But I want to tell you, if you have my information, you can email me. I will send you documents related to the homeless and resources available in Pitt County. I don't have the documents in front of me right now, but since you brought that up, I think we'll make that an entirely different show moving forward.
Okay.
So if you want to write my email down, if you have it, it's Glenn, Glenn Johnson Show at gmail.com. If you continue to listen to the broadcast, we'll mention it again so you can get a paper and pen and write it down. Email me, and I'll send you documents related to homeless shelters, and resources available in Pitt County. Apostle.
And that's Glenn Johnson. I'm driving right now. Glenn Johnson.
Yeah, Glenn Johnson Show at gmail.com. Glenn with two N's.
That's easy. That's easy to remember. Thank you. Thank you so much. Both of you are doing a great job.
Yeah, or call.
Very, very good information. Very touching. Real life stuff.
Or call back to the station admin office, and they will provide my email for you.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you, caller.
Take care.
We're about to go out on break, ladies and gentlemen. Keep it locked right here to Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM.
I am Miss Mary Cox. I'm Killer Thigpen's mother from Awesome Radio.
These midweek soundtracks were not legal. Stay tuned.
If you're in ministry, today's legal alert is just for you. Here's attorney David Gibbs Jr.
A fine church in Central Florida has a pianist to accompany the congregational singing for its Sunday services. But on Wednesday, when they hold a service, they use a copyrighted CD because their pianist could not be present. The church services are live streamed, and they wondered if they needed a license to use these CDs. When church services are live streamed, anything that is copyrighted, including accompaniments for congregational singing, must be licensed, even when such items might be used freely if the services were not available online. Please be careful about this distinction. When you have questions about the copyright law, please contact us or someone knowledgeable in this area at the Christian Law Association.
The legal landscape is certainly changing for Christians, so let the Christian Law Association be your compass and guide. Free legal resources are just a click away. ChristianLaw.org. For example, you'll find legal brochures, case updates, our e-alert newsletter, and a complete publication catalog, all at christianlaw.org. That's christianlaw.org.
Reflecting, celebrating, and moving forward. Youth Incarceration Prevention Ministry celebrating 10 years of youth community service. Bad company and the streets is not the way. Come learn a better way on Saturday, June 7th, 12 o'clock noon at St. John Missionary Baptist Church, Soul Saving Center, 2921 Briary Swamp Road, Stokes. Host Pastor Gregory V. Black. This event is free. Come hear the keynote speaker, Paula Dance, Pitt County Sheriff, as she shares programs and real-life scenarios live at the Youth Detention Center. That's Saturday, June 7th, 12 o'clock. The founders of Youth Incarceration Prevention Ministry, Eddie Golly and his wife, Ann Golly. There will be food trucks, vendors, gift card giveaways, and classes for ages 3 to 8. This event is free to the community. We're calling all youth in your community, this community, that community, all communities. It's the Youth Incarceration Prevention Ministry, June 7th, 12 o'clock noon at St. John Missionary Baptist Church, Soul Saving Center, 2921 Briary Swamp Road, Stokes. For more information, contact Eddie, 252-341-7546. Brenda, 252-717-0097. Or Evelyn, 252-253-9520. We're celebrating 10 years of the Youth Incarceration Prevention Ministry. June 7th, 12 noon at St. John Missionary Baptist Church, Soul Saving Center, 2921 Briary Swamp Road, Stokes. This event is free to the community.
We're back. You're listening to The Glenn Johnson Show. You can reach Glenn at glennjohnsonshow@gmail.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are down to our final 30 minutes of today's broadcast, but I want to mention something right off the bat. The caller just gave me a great idea for our next show for the first week of May. I had another topic for the first week of May, but I think we'll hold off on that to bring forth the topic on homeless resources in Pitt County. Because the first week, I'm going to start out with U.S. currency. There's been a lot of changes to U.S. currency. One thing I definitely want to mention about U.S. currency is Rule 72 under the IRS. A lot of people are not familiar with Rule 72 under the IRS. So I'm going to give you a little example before I give it back over to Apostle. Rule 72 is basically like compound interest for retirement, or if you have a young child, say you have a child who's 1 year old, you put $1,000 in the bank in over a 17-year period. If you was able to put $1,000 in the bank every year with Rule 72 and the compound interest from the time that child is 1 year old, when that child reaches 17, he will have $400,000 in the bank account. That's under Rule 72. That's why I want to mention that. This is another way for you to save money for your children as they get older. Apostle.
Yes. Also, Dr. Glenn, I want to thank the caller for calling in, Miss Manning. And we do know that there is a shelter here in Pitt County somewhere. I do know that there is one. And as Dr. Glenn said, we'll get the exact things out there so we will be able, and it's a shame, I got to talk about myself because I did a lot of ministerial work in those areas before I came here. And I actually have not been down to the shelter. And I'm willing to go. I do know of a young lady that was here, and she was making lunches and taking them over to the people, giving back to the community. And I'm willing, Miss Manning too, if you're still listening, I'm willing to go with you if you want one day. I mean, we do need to find out what is going on and ways that we can help other people. I want to say this too. I want to say this to anybody, to Ms. Manning, myself, and anybody else, that also this particular situation that we're talking about, the kids, it ended up being a tragic end for them. But we also have to be careful about just going out and getting people and bringing them into our house. into our homes. You got to be very, very prayerful about that, because I know for sure I've done it many times, and many times I've had some regrets too for, how things, turned out, or what was going on in the midst of it. You have to really have some boundaries when you're allowing people to come in. I've had people, I've helped them, and they turned around and came against me. And I mean, open up my house. I've helped them. I've even taken in one time, and he was running from the police. And I ended up with a whole SWAT team in full gear at my house.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was going on, that this person had committed a crime.
Yeah, and other thing I want to mention on that aspect is you don't really know or have the knowledge if that person was properly medically evaluated or psychologically or mentally evaluated, because that could be a big problem. And as a board member of both Trillium Consumer Family Health Advisory Board and the North Carolina Brain Injury Advisory Council, I want to bring this up to both of those agencies, because I know for a fact there are a large amount of homeless individuals with a brain injury or mental condition.
And that is true. And also addictions. Those are the two major reasons a lot of times that people that are consistently, I'm not saying someone that just gotten into and has fallen into a situation, but I'm talking about consistently being homeless and years of not having a place to live. It is often, like Dr. Glenn said, something mental or some type of addiction that they have in their life. So definitely be prayerful about, what or who, and know that you have to make sure that even with allowing someone in, that you have a plan for helping them to get out of that situation, not just enabling them while they're in your home. I know of a certain people that I've helped, that I helped them get into a place to live, and they lived there for years. It was a help up on their feet. It was a plan, a way, a strategy to help them get up and get on their feet, and not just to give them a handout.
And Jack, if possible, we have 4 minutes. I just want to mention something very quick. An effort to see if anybody would call in. And so I have one other document, and that is helmets, because there's some cases where you might have to wear a helmet when driving in a vehicle or a motorcycle. So if there's anybody out there listening that could give us information on whether a helmet prevents or just for safety, if you could call in and answer that, I would appreciate it. The number to call, 252-756-2008. We're standing by waiting for your call. Apostle.
Dr. Glenn, did you have a audio that you wanted to share with us today concerning that?
Not for the helmet thing, but after the break, I'll share audio on
the particular of the children.
Yeah, on that.
The tragedy of the children.
Yeah, the tragedy of the children, followed by the benzene detector.
Yeah, so we want you to hang in there and come back with us. We're going out on a break in a couple of minutes, but I hope that we've given some good information on today and some things to start us. And I'm grateful for the caller that called in, because that's going to pique a lot of our interest to be able to get up and go look and see what resources we have here in Pitt County. I have seen a few people that are homeless in this particular county. I've seen them out or pushing buggies and different things and around different neighborhoods. I've seen some people that seem to be homeless, or at least I thought they were. So there are some resources. Yeah. And also, who knows what could be started from just going over there and looking.
And I know I have a lot of documents from previous broadcasts where we talked about homeless and homeless shelters in Pitt County. But I'm going to gather those documents up together, but I want to go online and get some current documents that's relative to current information. Then we'll do that the first week of May.
Definitely, Dr. Glenn. That's an exciting show and a good thing that we're going to start looking forward to coming up, and along with some new other topics that I'm going to bring to Dr. Glenn that we're going to be able to look up.
And what was the caller's name, Ms. Manning?
Miss Manning was her name.
All right, so you do have information on her?
I know I don't have her information, but I know she is a radio personality or broadcaster. She has her show here on Awesome Radio.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought I'd recognize that name.
That's who it is.
So yeah, I'll be able to contact her, or maybe since I know she knows Vernon, Coach Vernon Garrison, he will supply my email to her, or I can go through Coach Garrison to make sure he passes it along to her. So thanks a lot.
Yes, so that is we'll be able to find her. She's a public figure.
Yeah, I knew that name sounded familiar. I forgot Miss Manier with Coach Garrison.
Yes, definitely. So that's a great thing.
And
as I said, we don't know what could be
started from this very thing.
Feedback from somebody.
Yes, we got it. Took care of it.
You got it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And we have 1 minute to go before we go to the next break. We'll get to those 2 audio clips after the next break. So I'm going to ask Apostle if she will look for the document, the cause of death for the children as the audio is playing, followed by the benzene and the benzene detector. That'll be after the children's audio.
Yes, so I do have it here, Dr. Glenn. We will definitely get into this just a little bit when we come back from our break, because we're getting ready to go on our break, and we're looking forward to hearing those particular audios about this tragedy. We pray today that this broadcast helps someone and that someone is encouraged by it. We are getting ready. We're going to ask that if you still want to call in, that phone number is 252-756-2008. Again, that number is 252-756-2008. You can call in and give us a comment, because we'll be live. You'll be live on the air, and we will put you right on here. This is a great topic, and it's a great help to someone. This is Awesome Radio, the Glenn Johnson Show. We'll be right back in a moment.
Keep it locked right here to the Glenn Johnson Show.
This is Global Perspective from New Life Africa Networks.
Most of us would have a hard time even finding the Republic of Benin on a map. This tiny West African nation only has about 13 million citizens. Their constitution provides for religious freedom, but religious organizations are required to register with the government, and government officials have the right to restrict religious practices if they choose. While 48% of the people of Benin say that they're Christians, many of them also practice voodoo or other traditional religions. The people of Benin need Jesus, and they desperately need accurate Bible teaching. Would you pray with us that God will open doors for His message of hope and salvation to be shared throughout Benin? We have more info on our website.
Find out how God could use you to share the good news of Jesus with someone who is waiting to hear. Go to globalradio.us for more information.
You're listening to Awesome Radio, WECU 107.5 FM, 1570 AM. Christian media with the spirit of excellence.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivation with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams. This is Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU. Now, I would like to play the 2 audio clips continuously. We'll take about 5 minutes. Then we'll talk about the other aspects of the 2 children, followed by the benzene detector.
Almost 1 month ago, police responded to the Hollywood Greektown Casino. A family was sleeping in their van and 2 kids died. Initially, investigators told us that the children died from hypothermia, but today the medical examiner is saying that the official cause of death was carbon monoxide poisoning. Our Terrell Bailey is downtown with how we got to this point, a very troubling case, Terrell.
Yeah, hey there, good evening, Terrence. This case has been far beyond the Metro Detroit area. So many people overall reacting to it. Now, today's update overall sheds a bit more light into the cause of death for brother and sister Mila and Darnell Curry. Police telling us the family had overall been living in a minivan inside of the Hollywood casino parking lot for several months. Now, 3 other children were also inside of that van along with the children's mother. I actually spoke to a toxicology expert. He told me, granted, there were multiple people in that minivan. It's possible the carbon monoxide reached the 2 kids before anyone else.
Where exactly were the kids positioned? Were they in the back of the van? Did they have vents on in the front so that maybe they were getting better air in the front but not in the back? They're gonna have to reconstruct that to see once why 2 kids in the vehicle died from carbon monoxide where the rest of the family didn't.
Now, Detroit police told me today, though the cause of death as carbon monoxide poisoning, they are still investigating the facts and circumstances of this case. They also told me they plan on submitting those findings to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. Terrence, I also talked to a former prosecutor who told me overall, more still does need to be looked into.
You need 2 things for a crime to occur. You need an act, of course, the death in this case, and you need intent, and that's what's lacking here. Seems like the mother tried to do everything within her power and reason to try and get help and assistance for her kids. They lived in the van for 2 to 3 months, during which time she reached out to various entities within municipality, was rebuffed on each and every occasion, according to her. And so therefore, it looks like it was just an unfortunate accident.
Now, just last week, we've learned the mother was given a home for free for 1 year. She told our team at the time it's something that she's forever grateful for. Of course, a lot of still developments to come in this situation, but for now, Terrence, we're live in front of the Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office. Terrell Bailey, CBS News, Detroit.
Yes, still so many questions. We will keep following this story. Thank you, Terrell.
Okay, I was going to play both audio clips continuously, but I know Apostle wants to give some comments on the audio clip, so let me give it over to Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams.
Yes, and I wanted to, Dr. Glenn, give the age of those children that passed away. One was 9 and one was 2.
Yeah.
And that was a very, very unfortunate accident. And we're looking and seeing, initially it was reported that they died of hypothermia, that they died, from being too cold. But now we see from the medical examiner that it was carbon monoxide, which is again one of the dangers that people may not understand that could happen from sleeping inside of a running vehicle.
Yeah.
Anything that's enclosed inside of a garage is in danger of carbon monoxide poisoning. And to see that 2 of the children died, the rest of the family is absolutely blessed, because usually when you see that some have passed away, everyone is usually gone from carbon. And it's a gas that could come in, and it could come in. You can even have this in your home from the furnace or whatever unit that you use to heat the home. And I don't know, in my mind, I was always thinking parking garage that is usually an open space, at least the ones that I've seen, but there probably are some that are closed. And that is what happened, that they were in a closed-in space and the vehicle was running and carbon monoxide built up in the vehicle.
Yeah, and sometimes I think it doesn't even have to come from the running vehicle that they're in. It could have emitted from other vehicles. It's just been in the air. You just have to been exposed to the carbon monoxide from being in an area as a result of time. And you've been exposed to it from the amount of time that you've been there. Plus, like you said, they want to do other toxicology examinations because they want to find out, well, why did the 2 children perish and the adults didn't? Because the carbon monoxide could have been just built up in the front seat of the car where the children was, as opposed to the back, which meant that the adults were safer than the children. This is why they want to have an ongoing investigation.
And there has to be, in order to avoid carbon monoxide, there has to be a source of fresh air. And that's what was happening there. There was no fresh air getting in there, and it got to the place where the children were, or those 2 particular kids. And as they said on the audio, there was probably something blowing. Sometime it might have been blowing in the front and not in the back.
Exactly.
or sometimes doesn't work in the back. You know how cars are. Sometimes cars, the vents only work in the front and the back. There is no airflow. So that definitely what could have happened. And I'm not even sure, Dr. Glenn, what kind of van it was, whether it was a small minivan.
And let me just point out one other thing. When I first moved here, and my daughter was living with me, and she would park in the garage. I had a big F-150 that wouldn't fit in the garage. So I let her park in the garage. But I immediately had to explain to her. I said, look, let me tell you something. Before you start this vehicle, particularly with the windows down, make sure that the garage door is open, because you want to make sure the garage is vented before you start the vehicle, and it starts emitting the carbon dioxide in the air. And you and my granddaughter would succumb to the carbon dioxide, and I don't want that to happen. So, I have knowledge about carbon dioxide, garages, and everything, other stuff, being a former firefighter. So that's what I explained to her, to have her open the garage door before she even start the vehicle.
Definitely. That is the way to avoid it, is to have the garage door up, or so fresh air can get in and those fumes can go out.
Exactly. You want the fumes to be emitted. Thank you, Apostle.
Definitely. Carbon monoxide poisoning occurs when carbon monoxide builds up in the blood. When too much carbon monoxide is in the air, carbon monoxide replaces oxygen in the blood cells, and this can lead to serious tissue damage, even death. It's almost like you just suffocate on it. You're not getting that oxygen in your blood, and this is just built up in your blood, and it can cause you to pass away.
Yeah, we have about 1 minute to go before we go to the next break, so I just want to mention something before we go to the final audio clip and the final document for the day, and that's on the benzene detector. And I'm going to ask Apostle, would she get this document out after we come from the break? We'll explore a little bit more about this document, but essentially what it is off-duty officers patrolling work zones to keep drivers safe and workers safe. Source is publicradioeast.org. So they're state troopers. Now, if you look at the document and see that those state troopers or officers are actually in construction workers' uniforms, but they're actually troopers or police officers controlling or protecting the work zones. I think that's so very important. You said that document, Apostle. We'll get to that right after this break. Our Apostle's going to take us out to the break.
Yes, we still have a few minutes if you'd like to call in. That phone number here in the studio is 252-756-2008. I'm going to say it again, just a little slower. 252-756-2008. You can call in. We have a few minutes that you will be live on the air. We know that we're giving out some good information, and we want to hear from you on today. Call on in. We'd love to have you on with us, with Dr. Glenn and myself today. We will be right back. We're going out on a break, and we have one more segment. This is Awesome Radio, Dr. Glenn Johnson Show.
Back in a moment, ladies and gentlemen. 107.5 FM.
My name is Jayla, and you're to see to my papa, Glenn Johnson, on the radio.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to continue our topic discussion. If possible, we can find that document on the troopers or officers that are just actually, you think the correct word be disguised as construction workers, or they have on clothing similar to construction workers, but they are troopers or police officers, and they're monitoring construction zones to make it safe, to keep drivers safe and workers safe. Apostle?
I definitely see this document, Dr. Glenn, and I think that's something good to know. I didn't know police officers are disguising themselves as road workers in order to, and so that's how they catch us.
Yeah, well, it's a
That's
part
how
of,
they've been getting us.
it's a part of the Hawks program, HAWKS. And it's a $2 million funded by the North Carolina Department of Transportation. It says some other information down there if you want to continue, Jackie.
Definitely. And I just want to say, I got a ticket. In a lot of times in these particular construction zones, the ticket will be double.
Yeah.
It's not just regular, it's double.
It
And
is.
I have gotten one
It is
in a
double.
construction zone.
It is double.
And I didn't see anybody out there working, Dr. Glenn. I
They were-
saw two men standing on the side of the road.
They
Looked
were
like they were
police-
eating their lunch.
They were police officers.
Yeah, but they had on the construction. So that's how they got me.
That's how they got you.
Yeah.
You've been had, you've been shook, you've been taken.
And nobody was working. They wasn't digging up anything or doing anything. It was just two men wearing these type of clothing, standing on the side of the road, and I got a ticket.
If you look under the photo, it says file. The White House has warned that without more money for the Federal Highway Trust Fund would help states pay for road and infrastructure projects, construction delays will put thousands out of work.
Yes, it's called the Hawks program.
The Hawks program, yeah.
Short for helping work zones keep safe. And that's what it is. It's actually a joint initiative between North NCDOT and North Carolina Highway Patrol. It uses off-duty officers to monitor patrol work zones.
Now, Apostle, we have 7 minutes. Let me play this audio clip on the benzene detector. Then we'll go to the document on the benzene detector, which probably will give us enough time to wrap up today's broadcast.
Benzene C6H6 benzene gas detection with 0 to 20 part per million of range with 0.01 ppm resolution. Now, I mention that because benzene, number one, is a very dangerous gas. It's a carcinogen. But the point here is this gas detector is for personal protection. It can help you prevent gas exposure to benzene. The OSHA limit of exposure over 8 hours is 1 ppm. So as you can see, this guy is going to protect you. It's got good fidelity at 1 ppm, and 15-minute exposure, the PEL, is 5 ppm from OSHA. So again, pop it on. If it does go to those limits, it's going to alarm, it's going to vibrate, and it's going to let you know to go to safe, clean air. Very, very nice unit indeed. The sensors at the front, it's a PID sensor, very sensitive. Benzene PID sensor, photo ionization detector sensor. At the side, we have the ABS housing. At the back, we have the alligator clip. And on the side, we have your USB charging port. And that's how we charge the unit. It has a 1500 milliamp hour rechargeable battery. Very, very nice indeed. And it comes to you in a corrugated box, just like so. Bang, very, very strong. Recharge cable. It comes to you with a nice color manual. It comes very important with calibration certificate to make sure and assure you that it is accurate and it's been calibrated to US government standards here in.
Sorry about that. I cut that audio short because we want to go to the actual document. So I just want to mention, and I'm not going to mention any sources where you can purchase from. You have to research it on your own or email me and I'll send you the document, because I don't want to give a free advertisements to any of the companies that has these available. So you have to do your own research or email me. And you can start with the document that I'll email you. But it can be purchased at several outlets. And you can wear it on your body, actually. So if you're at home in your garage, it would detect if benzene is present, because benzene can be found in your car, your garage, and your home. We have 4 minutes remaining. I'm going to give that to Apostle Jacqueline Cullins.
Yes, Dr. Glenn wanted me to look at the benzene document that we have here. And it said benzene detectors are designed to identify and measure the concentration of benzene gas in the air. And it also says here that, that benzene is widely used in the production of plastics, synthetic fibers, rubber, dyes, and can also be found in gasoline and other petroleum-based products.
Yeah, and I know one thing from looking at the video itself. You can wear it on your hip just like a cell phone. And to charge it, it comes with a USB cord, so you can charge it just like you would charge a cell phone.
Well, Dr. Glenn, I want to say this, and this is probably why I've never heard of anybody having a benzene detector. It said the cost of benzene gas detectors range from $1,000 to $5,000.
Oh, I did not know that. So I'm going to have to consider purchasing one then.
Well,
I'm going to have to reconsider.
you can get me one too, Dr. Glenn.
No, you got to go solo.
They are kind of pricey here, not like the carbon monoxide detectors. You can get those now in a combo with your smoke detector.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're not as expensive as thousands of dollars. Those are very inexpensive.
That's right.
And you want to get one of those,
That's right, because I bought 3 of them. One for my upstairs in my house that has the electrical components, and one for my garage. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Definitely. So that's what we want to say to our audience. Don't just get the smoke detectors. Make sure that it has the CO detector attached to it.
Yeah, if it's a combo pack, and you can get the fire extinguisher or smoke detector or the carbon monoxide detector together, that is probably more practical and more valuable.
Definitely, for safety reasons, it is best to have one because you just never know, with it being a gas and something that you may not be able to detect by odor. You may just, something that just, you may not, but when you have that detector, it's gonna go off if there's anything happening like that and save your life. If you're asleep,
Yeah.
monoxide is in the air, you can just sleep right on away. You may not even wake up, but some of the other symptoms while you're awake could be very heavy headaches and disorientation. And sometimes people may not understand that that's because there's carbon monoxide in the house.
And the alternative to that is a person who anticipating or contemplating suicide, they will resort to locking themselves in the garage if they have a garage, turning on the car with the garage door down, with the garage closed in, and the windows open, so that the carbon monoxide will build up the car, and they never wake up again. They never felt anything, heard anything, or smelled anything. They're just gone. And that's why a lot of people do that, because they don't feel anything.
It's almost like a painless
painless death. That's
yes.
right.
And I've seen those before, or I've heard of stories of it. I've never actually known anyone to do and in that way. So also we had one document that was talking about one person who died of hypothermia here in North Carolina. Somebody died this winter because it was so cold and they froze to death. The rescuers had a hard time getting to them, from what I understand.
And because we didn't get to all the documents containing hypothermia, I think we'll add that onto the documents for homelessness and homeless resources the first week of May. So we'll include the hypothermia with the homeless documents.
That will be a great thing because we'll be able to give out what the symptoms are of hypothermia, so you'll be able to know what it is and what to look for in case you suspect that being an issue.
Absolutely. So we'll hold on to these documents concerning hypothermia. We'll add them to the broadcast for homelessness beginning the first week of May, which is next week, our next broadcast. So hang in there. Join us next week for homeless and hypothermia. This is the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivation with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Williams. May God bless you, all to all of our listeners. So long, take care. 107.5 FM.